Thank you for tuning in to the BizNation podcast. My name is Kerry Zarb, and I've been helping business owners just like you go from headache to heaven in a heartbeat for over 20 years. I'll be giving you all the top advice for getting started in your business, but I'll also be speaking with some of the best business minds to inspire you with valuable insights to help you get ahead in your business. If you've ever hit a roadblock or lost your passion, then this is the podcast for you. Welcome to the BizNation podcast. I'm Kerry and this is episode 62. I'm so excited to have on the show today Pedro Maciel, who is one of the amazing co-owners of Plosive Monster Media. Pedro is also the co-host of Real Talk Podcasting, and not to mention the host of his own podcast, The X Factor of Safety. Pedro joins us from Houston in Texas and has been in the construction safety industry for 11 years and podcasting for the past 2 years. I've brought Pedro onto the show to bring us some amazing insight from his experience with leadership and managing critical situations from pretty much all his walks in life. Welcome to the show, Pedro. It's great to have you here.
Oh, thank you, Kerry. What a great introduction. It's good to be here. I greatly appreciate it.
No, you're very welcome. I really appreciate your time, and I think we'll just dive straight in and see what value we can give the listeners today.
Of course.
Awesome. So, Pedro, I'd love to start with a particular quote that I've heard you mention a few times, and I believe it goes something like, if you fail, fail forward. Did you want to explain that for the listeners?
Of course. We think a lot of times that failures are bad and they're going to set us back. So if we lead with that mindset of failing forward, that yes, I do fail, but my next step is forward. My next step is going to be on a positive note, even though it might be a minor setback. It's a fail, but it's a learning opportunity for you to continue to achieve your success, to get the win, to continue on the journey.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you. I think that's an amazing little quote that you used there. And it means a lot to me because I think, looking back at things that haven't gone to plan and haven't gone so well, there's always pieces out of those experiences that we can take with us. So that's amazing. Thank you. So, Pedro, would you mind sharing with the listeners also your journey, just in a snapshot kind of summary? How did you arrive to where you are today?
I was once a young boy. No, I started out in the military first, right out of high school. Went to the U.S. Navy. Rode it on a submarine, so that was very overwhelming in the beginning. But then I understood what it was to be a sailor, to be a submariner. Got out of the military. Did one admin job right outside of the military and did not like it too much. It was not my forte. So I wanted to start working with my hands. So then I ended up going into the oil and gas industry, refinery business, and as a general laborer before I got into the safety, before I became a supervisor and, went on that leadership path. And I took some shortcuts, did some things, and somebody gave me the opportunity to be a safety coordinator on a certain job, and I took it. I thought it was easy. I seen the other safety professionals that were around drinking coffee. I love coffee, so fast forward 11 years. I've now had a bunch of certifications, and I've been doing safety for a long time. I've been, in supervision roles, in the corporate roles, in C-suite. So, I like what I do because I was once the guy that didn't have somebody to look out for.
Yep. That makes sense, yeah. And I think having been in those shoes probably gives you that best perspective of what's required and knowing what the guys need, and I shouldn't say guys, it's probably guys and gals, but
Guys and gals, yeah.
Yeah, what they need and what's really going to help them throughout their day. So that's awesome. And Pedro, in that respect, what would be your top points and almost like top bullet points in a leadership role?
First and foremost, emotional EQ. Any leader now, more than ever, needs to have some emotional EQ. And I say that because with everything that has happened over the past year, coming into 2021, it definitely took a toll on people. It changed many lives. And, some of those CEOs of the smaller companies that had to close their doors, were out looking for work and looking, even though they had a company, they were the CEO, they were the president, they had to shut doors. So, now they're on the other side along with their workers. So just to have that empathy and emotional EQ would be one of those traits. Integrity being another one. Just make sure that, you tell the truth, even if it's bad, even if there's bad news that comes about, be truthful, because what gets, and from a worker standpoint, gets brought to light, what they see is you being truthful with them through good and bad.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with that as well. Something that I've had in principle for many years is being open and honest with a team, not to the point where we want to scare them, if things are changing and there's real kind of, hard things going on behind the scenes. We don't want to freak them out, but at the same time, we've got to be open and honest and share with them so that they can be involved in the business and join us on the journey as well. And a lot of the time, they've got things to bring to the surface that, if you're not having those open and honest conversations, you're never going to hear that feedback from them. So awesome points there, Pedro. Thank you. And in your opinion, Pedro, where does leadership go wrong?
Leadership goes wrong when you use the old catchphrase, "I've always done it that way." When you have that mindset that what you have been taught, and it's not necessarily being taught as a leader, you were taught to manage rather than lead. Because, and I can attest to this because I've been in that same situation. I taught somebody how to do everything I would do and manage. It wasn't until, in the middle of my career when I got me a mentor that I truly understood what it was to lead, to train somebody well enough to take your position, but to also train them well enough to train others the same way, to instill that footprint of emotional EQ, empathy, integrity, all those core values, and they pass that on to people that they are being leaders to.
Yeah, I agree with that also, definitely. Really, really good point there. Thank you. And why is it so important to value the team? I hear a lot of business owners actually refer to their team as a liability, but in your opinion, and I personally believe it's the opposite, but why is that so important to have that value in your team members?
Because without your team members, without your employees, without the people that are out there doing the work, you have no company. You have no business. So you have to value the team. You have to be able to value your greatest asset. And your greatest asset isn't the person that's sitting in at the desk, writing the checks. It isn't the person that has the name on the building. It's the men and women that are down at the ground floor, day in and day out, doing the work, pushing, crunching the numbers, making sure all the processes and procedures are in place. The procurement is being there. The logistics, the product is going from point A to point B seamlessly. All of those people are your greatest assets.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that also. And thank you. And I think that's already brought a lot of value to the listener and going through those points with you. I want to flip over to you as a person, though, Pedro. How do you start your day?
I stretch. I do my daily meditation, and that starts off with me just thanking God for bringing me to see another day. I just reflect on what I'm going to accomplish. What did I do yesterday that I can be better at today? And what am I going to get done today to leave a legacy behind? And then I make my cup of coffee. I get ready for the day, and then I hop on Clubhouse and get on the Clubhouse.
That's an important part of starting your day, especially after the coffee. I get it. That's awesome. You're listening to the BizNation podcast. I would love to connect with you outside of the podcast, and you can find me on Clubhouse, Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn by searching my name, Kerry Zarb, or directly on my website at kerryzarb.club. And don't forget, if you need more support in your business, you can find the community on Facebook at BizNation Support Group. Pedro, tell us about RTP, Real Talk Podcasting, and this is also now led into Plosive Monster Media. What's the go? Where did this come from?
Clubhouse. So where me and I met, Kerry, is on Clubhouse. It's the social media, audio social media app, and how RTP and Real Talk Podcasting came about. We were on the app, and me personally, started to see a need for some real talk, for some real substance around the podcasting space, because of the rooms that I was going into were a lot of fluff. It was a lot of, follow all the moderators, go buy this course. Here is my Calendly link, so you can, I can charge you $97 to be on, a 15-minute call with me. And it was just not real talk. And I ended up coming across Roman and Tanner in one of the rooms, and we hit it off really well. We started, connecting, and we started doing more rooms, and became friends in essence on this social platform. And so we said, you know what? We should just start a podcast. Let's call it Real Talk Podcasting, because that's what we want to do. We want to give people real talk about the podcasting space, and from A to Z in podcasting. And then, lo and behold, this was not planned. Real Talk Podcasting, it just happens to be the initials of Roman, Tanner, and Pedro. So
that is so bizarre.
Kind of serendipitous there. But it was really a collaboration among like-minded individuals that wanted to serve before we take. We had, and it ties into leadership. We wanted to be, servant leaders. We want to be able to give as much as we possibly can, because we've been through the failures. We've been through those triumphs and successes as well. So it was very serendipitous how it came about. And so now that we're fixing to record episode 9 this week of the podcast, we figured we make a holding company, a business out of it, and that's where Plosive Monster Media came about. That is our LLC together.
Wow, that's a great story. And I have to ask the question, have you guys actually met in person?
We have not. We have met via Riverside. We have met via IG, but we have not met in person yet. We
Wow.
were talking about this before we got on this call and talking about some other things. We definitely have to schedule a meet up between us so that way we can have our monthly or a monthly board meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's on the cards. And are you guys like all, can you meet in the middle? Where are you located? Is that going to work well, or are you just going to find a best, possible location that's closest to one of you?
Yeah, no, we talked about some areas that we should be able to meet up, but it all depends on schedule and timing and when are we going to do it. So
Yeah, definitely. And Pedro, to that, you're quite mobile. You're often in a hotel room. Your work takes you to all different locations, I understand.
that is correct. Yes, I have the luxury of being away from home. It's not a luxury, people.
No.
It's not a luxury. I do have the necessity to be in different hotels due to work. So with that, I get to bring my mobile studio everywhere I go, which is how I'm talking to you right now. I'm actually
Yeah.
in a hotel room as we speak.
Wow. I couldn't imagine what that's like, being away from your family and having that kind of lifestyle of, suitcases. And I've seen I call it your tackle box, by the way. I've seen your tackle box of your equipment and, it's all nicely packed and ready to transport. But I couldn't imagine how, like, have you been, this has not been the last 11 years for you, surely?
Almost. There was a
Oh,
couple of stints. Yeah, there was a couple of stints. There was I want to say maybe about 5-6 years that I was actually home. When I was a corporate safety director, I was home every day. Just in time for dinner. We'd sit down as a family to eat. We would, after that, clean up and play games, or we would be going to watch soccer games and softball practice, and so I wasn't always traveling, but the majority of my career I have been a road warrior.
wow. That's amazing. And do you travel all across the states, or is it just one particular area?
Yeah, I travel all across the states. Wherever the next job is where I am at.
So you're shifting time zones as you go sometimes as well, yeah?
Yeah. So like right
Wow.
now I'm in Washington D.C., which is on Eastern time zone. The beginning of the year up until the beginning of March, I was in Oklahoma, which was Central time zone. Uh, haven't done too much work over on the West Coast, California, Arizona, but I have worked in those areas before.
Wow. That's incredible. Again, I couldn't imagine, and it must be, I guess, I love how you first wrapped it up as a positive, like you tried to, put the whole silver lining on it. That's awesome. But yeah, super taxing on the family and yourself, and, a bit of a mental challenge as well, I would expect, to stay in the game and stay focused whilst traveling.
Oh man, yeah, definitely gotta have the mental health check from time to time. And I say that, because, again, you see a lot of hotel rooms. You see, it's a lot of lonely nights. Luckily, when I do travel, I don't ever just bring a suitcase. I travel in my own vehicle and I drive everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So then I can bring little nuances from home, my coffee maker, my air fryer, and I'm able to have these things.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, I have,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's sitting right next to me. I have a coffee pot, and I have my small little air fryer that my wife got me, so that way I can cook. Instead of having microwave dinners or eating out all the time, I can make me something that's a little more hearty, something that kind of gives me the feel like I'm home.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's really good. I practically live out of an air fryer and I am at home. So if that helps you feel any better, that's one of my staple go-to appliances in the kitchen here. So, and there's a guy on TikTok, did you know, that does the air fry guy? Have you seen
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I
That's
have.
awesome. Yeah.
Yes, I want to try some of the bacon wrapped jalapenos that he's
Oh,
made. Oh my goodness.
Definitely, yeah. Certainly a go-to space on the TikTok for the air fryer. I've got to get involved. I've only seen a couple, so I need to deep dive and find some more. So, Pedro, what's next for you? What's any projects in the pipeline? What's coming ahead? Have you got any goals that you want to achieve throughout 2021?
Yeah, definitely. Kicking off this new project with Roman and Tanner. RTP Academy. We're going to start doing some in-depth and type of courses that we are going to have, on the radar for people to come. Very cost effective. It's not, going to be, $2,000, $3,000 for these courses, which I know Tanner has his, podcast revenue machine course, and we're looking at possibly getting a summit together, once stuff starts opening up. So that's one of the goals, whether it be this year or the beginning of next year, sometime. We are definitely trying to make the video aspect of what we do stick. So there's some things in the works with live streaming that I'm working on for the crew, so we can kind of get some stuff going on there. And then career wise, just maintaining health and making sure that I keep as many people as I can safe on the job site.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just to say, the summit would be amazing. Obviously, that's something that's no one's got the crystal ball, what's happening in the world. And it's even incredible to say world, like we're just starting to open up events here in Australia. And if you guys could get into the country, you could hold it right here in Australia. Let me just put that out there. But yeah, I'm like you, Pedro. I do everything by car. So any event that I've attended in the past, pre-pandemic, was road trips. So from Melbourne to Sydney and from Melbourne to the Gold Coast, which is in Queensland. So yeah, I love to have my vehicle and all my luggage and bits and pieces like you. But super excited about the academy. That's going to be insane. And even as we're recording this may have been launched already. So I'm not sure if you guys have set a date yet. There's probably so much work to do behind the scenes for that. So yeah, looking forward to that. Is it something that you guys are planning over a month or two, may I ask?
Yeah, so it's going to be a slow rollout. We started the website for it, got it up and running, got some courses, Tanner's podcast 101 course, that type of materials on there now, and then we're just trying to fine tune everything on what is going to launch next. What's going to be the structure. Are we going to have live webinar type stuff on the academy that people can then come and get live? So just working on some of those back ends. But yeah, I mean, hopefully within the next the month or so, we'll have it up and running. And, by the time this comes out, we should be full steam ahead.
Yeah, awesome. That's fantastic. Now, Pedro, before we wrap up the show, I have to ask you, and I'm sure there's a massive list, but where can we find you? What are all your social handles, websites? There must be a few.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So you can find me at realtalkpodcasting.com and Real Talk Podcasting on IG. You can find me on LinkedIn, LinkedIn.com/Pedro Maciel -CHST. You can find me there as well at the X Factor of Safety. And you can find me on Facebook at the X Factor of Safety, Pedro Maciel, look for my name, and Real Talk Podcasting Resources. That's our resources group that we have. So all those places, anywhere you find me, whether it's Pedro Maciel, the X Factor of Safety, or Real Talk Podcasting, I'm there. You'll find me somewhere, somehow. And then on Clubhouse, if you're on Clubhouse, reach out.
Yeah. Can't forget Clubhouse. That's certainly becoming the popular space at the moment. And finally, I just want to thank you for everything you guys do, particularly yourself on Clubhouse, because it's an amazing space. So something that I encourage any of the listeners to hop on Clubhouse, find these guys. You know, it's an amazing, like, the value you guys bring is incredible. And I appreciate you guys and everything that you've done, and feel super, super excited that I've made this connection with you guys over that platform. It's been awesome.
Oh, yeah. Greatly appreciated. And again, without the community and without what we do, the community building up and people actually wanting to get some real talk, it would have not happened. So thank you, community. Thank you, Kerry, for allowing me to be on your platform and reach your audience. Hopefully they gain a little bit of value out of this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Pedro. I appreciate your time, buddy, and we'll chat, no doubt, really soon. Thank you for tuning in to the BizNation podcast. It was lovely to share this episode with you. Remember to subscribe to catch all future episodes, and I would also very much love it if you'd leave me a rating or a review. Until next time, remember that you can also go from headache to heaven in a heartbeat.